years. Oops. I hope we don't have to start over. The county comes to the community and asks for input to prepare the Countywide Area Plan for older adults, also called the CWAP, that's the t-shirts. That's the county's strategy for providing services to residents age 55 plus and bringing Alameda County closer to our goals as an age-friendly community, as you see here. So if you're an Alameda County resident, 55 or over, or you're a caregiver, family member, friend, neighbor, not to mention looking at your own future. I see some young faces here, but you'll get here one day. Your voice is needed for our community to grow even more responsive and supportive to our older adults. So to put a modern spin, we're the Area Agency on Aging. We are the biggest county department that you've never heard of. So to just give an idea of what we're about, we decided to capitalize on a TikTok trend. So I'm gonna try to attempt to place. We'll see how far my tech skills have gotten today.
I'm an older adult in Alameda County, and of course I want to age healthy.
I'm a senior living in Alameda County. Of course my opinion matters. So does yours.
I'm an older adult in Alameda County. Of course, I say nothing about us without us.
I'm an older adult in Alameda County. Of course, I need transportation and I have places to go.
Hi, I'm an older adult in Alameda County, and of course I need healthy meals.
I'm an older adult in Alameda County. Of course I want to age in the right place.
Remember to unmute.
So now thank you so much for watching that. And thanks to our wonderful staff who helped with that. Now, what does life look for older residents in District 4 today, and what are some of the topics we really need to think about? Oh, before that, a little housekeeping. The restrooms are down the hall and to the right. If you need interpretation in Spanish or Chinese, we have some nice people in the back here. They have headsets for you. And we also have interpretation available online. Go to the little globe at the bottom of your screen and you can select Chinese or Spanish. As probably most of you know, core value of Alameda County is respect. We may come up with disagreements in this discussion. That's totally healthy, but we always address each other with respect. And now it brings me to introduce, and probably no better to address this than Supervisor Nate Miley. He is the supervisor for District 4, where we are located right now. He is president of the Board of Supervisors and a founding member of the United Seniors of Oakland and Alameda County. So to talk to us about aging in District 4 and really countywide, here's Supervisor Nate Miley.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here this afternoon and talk to you a little bit about issues facing older adults in District 4 and county-wide. And as was pointed out, I've been with the United Seniors of Oakland and Alameda County. I'm the president. The organization started in 1986. And when it started, I was working with older adults, organizing them because resources were drying up for older adults, not just locally, but throughout the state and country. So seniors felt they needed to have a voice and a vehicle so that their issues could be effectively addressed. I just thought I'd do that for a while and be finished with it. Fast forward 30-some years later, still with the United Seniors. And so I got to be a senior along the way, and then they made me the president. I got to be a senior and join this illustrious club, this illustrious society of older adults that we like to say, if you're fortunate enough to become an older adult, you want to really make sure your quality of life is good when you get there. So that's why issues that face older adults aren't just for older adults, they're for everybody. And we like to say if it's good for seniors, it's good for everybody. And that's really, really true. Because some of the concerns, and also I point out that got Shanita Chu back here and Tanya Washington, they both work for the United Seniors. And so when we talk about if it's good for seniors, it's good for everybody, because the issues that seniors are facing are issues that are, others are facing as well. Our society, our community, our county are facing. So let me just start off. First of all, the cost of living. Obviously, it's extremely high to live here in the Bay Area. The Bay Area quite potentially is the most expensive area to live in the state. Possibly there are communities in Southern California, Malibu and other places that might be a little bit more expensive, but the cost of living here in the Bay Area is extremely expensive. And so that makes it challenging in and of itself for older adults to be able to continue to live here, age successfully, thrive, and be healthy. So that's one thing. Another thing that affects older adults is the fact that housing, having adequate housing, affordable housing, sufficient housing, that is a big issue, having affordable housing. And the thing there is there just isn't enough supply of housing. And then furthermore, the cost of rent and habitation in housing is expensive. So trying to provide housing is costly, and then trying to keep older adults housed is costly as well. So just that whole thing is a challenge to ensure that seniors are adequately housed and don't lead to becoming unhoused. So that's another concern, that we have a number of older adults who are unhoused and don't have adequate housing and are homeless. And that's something that shouldn't be occurring. Thank you. Thank you. And that's something that shouldn't be occurring, because it's really heart-wrenching when you think you get to be an older adult and you don't have a place to live. I mean, that's just not right. I mean, you've lived your life and you don't have a place to live. I mean, that's just not right. And then having housing, but then also having adequate meals and nutrition. And fortunately, we do have a number of good community-based organizations that work on housing and work on ensuring that older adults have meals, but still, those continue to be challenges. Sufficient food, nutrition, and then also housing. Now, when you think about the cost of living in the Bay Area, you think having housing, you think about not being unhoused, you think about having adequate food and nutrition, meals. You think about all that and you say, okay, well, isn't that enough? No. Because in our community here in Alameda County, not just the county, but elsewhere, there is the issue of safety. There's the issue of safety. And unfortunately, a lot of seniors are living in fear. They're living in fear. They're living in fear of being robbed, assaulted on the streets, in their homes, in the stores. They're living in fear. And that is an indication of what's happening with others as well. Others are living in fear. So the whole issue of safety, I think, is a really, really important issue. And so once again, if you get to be an older adult, you've lived your life and you've become part of this club, you shouldn't have to be walking around being concerned about your safety and your welfare. And I know through the United Seniors and working with a lot of organizations, including, the county and other agencies, cities, community-based organizations, we put on the Healthy Living Festival every year up at the Oakland Zoo. We have exhibitors and we have actions and we have demonstrations. And last year, one of our big demonstrations was a demonstration of how seniors could defend themselves and not necessarily have to be so concerned about their fear, so concerned about their safety. And if they were actually to be confronted with an unsafe situation, they might be able to know how to de-escalate it or defend themselves. So that's another big issue, just the whole issue of fear, the whole issue of being safe. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention mobility, because Shanita Chu's back there, she's our travel trainer. And one reason United Seniors feels really important about mobility is an indication of independence. If you can't be mobile, then the United Seniors, we work to ensure that seniors are empowered. So if seniors can't be mobile, that's a recognition of their disempowerment. The freedom of movement, the freedom of travel, mobility, that is an indication of being empowered. So we are very concerned to make sure that seniors have access to public transportation, have access to mobility, can continue to live independent lives as long as they have the health to do that. So mobility, I think, is another big concern. So just to kind of recap, the cost of living, affordable housing, the assurance not to become unhoused, the ability to have food and nutrition for meals, not to live in fear, to feel safe, and then mobility. I think all of those are big ticket items, I think, for seniors. And as I pointed out earlier, if it's good for seniors, it's good for everyone. Because nothing I've kind of laid out here isn't good for everyone. But the thing is, it's even more of a challenge for older adults. And once again, my feeling, and I know the feeling of the seniors, our feeling is that when you get to be an older adult, life shouldn't be that tough, shouldn't be that challenging. So I appreciate the fact that every 4 years, we've got to do the older adult plan. We've got to come up with that. We kind of come up with strategies and approaches to how we're going to make the quality of life better for older adults here in Alameda County. Because we do want this county to continue to be an age-friendly county. And the county can't be an age-friendly county if seniors can't thrive here in this county and thrive in a manner in this county that is welcoming, is friendly, is wholesome, is something that we all find desirable. We shouldn't have to leave and go to other places to have that type of quality of life. So that's what I would say at this point in time. So I appreciate the opportunity just to speak with you today about some of my thoughts on issues facing older adults here in our community, here in District 4, here throughout the county. And with that, I mean, I can take questions if you'd like me to, or I can take my seat and listen.
Questions are great.
Yeah, question?
But please wait till let us come through with the microphone so that the people online can hear, so that the people online can hear you as well. Is it on? Check.
Screen is on.
Okay. If you could say first name in your city.
My name is Linda.
city is Castro Valley. I never heard of this thing until 2 days ago. I saw it, I think it was on Patch for Pleasanton, and I see almost nobody here. So it tells me you're not getting the word out for whatever reason. I think there would be people here who'd be interested. You do this kind of meeting every 4 years. So something needs to be done.
We have tried to get the word out about our public forums. We do have a lot of online attendees. We'd love to have more people in person, but there are quite a few people listening online as well. But thank you for that. Any suggestions? There's still more ways to get the word out.
Well, you know, you're so up at a lot of things. You're a very familiar face to me. You don't know me, but I see you in a lot of places. So whatever the cause of the day is, you know, that would be a great place to say, hey, we've also got this thing going on. As you say, you've aged into your position gracefully. So there are others who would, I'm sure, love to know about this. Because honestly, what do you do? What is the whole point of your commission? I have no idea.
Thank you. We do have some comments online.
And I just want to say, yeah, we do a lot of different ways to make sure we get the word out, you know, word of mouth, social media, handouts, mailers, any number of ways. So. But thank you for that feedback.
Oh, okay. Change the microphone. Can't the speaker be heard on the?
Hi, Carol, you were, you have your hand raised and you were unmuted, go ahead.
On the computer. Just to go back, you mentioned Castro Valley was a city. I know they're local, right?
No, it's not.
I know there's some folks that want Castro Valley to be a city. There's others that don't. So we don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
People that are on there with their hands raised or their hands raised.
Yeah.
I don't think that they have, Carol, it's your turn to talk.
Hi, this is Carol from Castro Valley. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. The concern that some have expressed to me is the fact that AC Transit has discontinued Flex because Castro Valley is so sprawling and does not have exceptional bus routes for many of the older adults. The Flex schedule has proven to be a godsend. That has now been cut back considerably. And as you're also well aware, Life Elder Care used to provide transportation and no longer does. And so for those people that need a little bit of extra help and a little bit of extra time when they get into a vehicle, Lyft and Uber does not meet that need very well. So if we could have something in the way of consideration for better transportation options, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. And I know who that is, Carol Cigamora. So yes, I think it's important that I know Shanita's working with Murphy McCauley, who's the AC Transit Director for Cache Valley in that area. And I know we were very supportive of the Flex. I think AC Transit cut it during COVID. So, but I know it was very popular before it was cut. And, you know, it took us a while to even make that happen. So, and I do think it would be good to have more transportation options for all seniors throughout the county. And that's one reason why we continue to work hard on travel training. So I think that the staff's making a notation of that. We need for the Flex and better transportation options, not just in Castro Valley, but for older adults, period.
Any other questions here? Let's.
We have Cheryl's iPhone. Okay, she on now.
We have someone in the audience, Tiara, no. Thank you.
Hello, Melody is on.
Oh, yeah. No, it's red.
I got it. Hello, my name is Melody and I live in Oakland. My question is healthcare for the seniors. You know, when some seniors, you say mobile, but some members also have, issues with thinking. Okay. I have my mother here, so I have to be very careful of some of the words I choose, okay, for she won't hit me. But she still thinks she's 35 or 40, but her brain has changed. Okay, what I'm trying to get at is that I'm trying to help her with her health things. Not so much health cover, because she's a Kaiser member forever, because she's an Alameda County employee. But how to say this, like when it's time for her to get refills on her medication, she get confused and she waits till it's all the way gone, the medication. So that means whatever condition she has, she's not getting her medicine. And so when she think about it, and I think about it, I had told them I want to have a call. What I'm trying to say, Nate, and older Americans is that I think there should be a plan that when a person gets like 70 or 80 years old, they should purposely ask them, do you have a neighbor who can help with your medication? Do you have a daughter, granddaughter, somebody else aside from that person who has problems? It's so easy, but I'm having a hard time with Kaiser doing that. And, you know, we pay for this deal. You know, and so they should just do what we asked them to do. I know they got HIPAA laws. That's what I'm asking you, Nate. I know they got HIPAA laws, but is there somewhere that we can help our older family members, our neighbors, you know, about their medication? They don't have their medication, they can have a stroke or whatever, and you're not in the house, something happens. So on the state part, what could we do to get that done? Or maybe you can author a bill or something like that, that someone else knows about the person's, patient's medications. Thank you.
Sure, and
Thank you.
you know, we've worked to try to ensure that our county agencies and departments aren't working in silos. So we have behavioral health, we have EMS, and over EMS, they have the Senior Injury Prevention Partnership that deals with medication management. And then obviously we've got the AAA and the Department on Aging. So I think that what you're asking is if there can be like, I don't want to call it senior companion because that's another program. But I know for example, some of us get notifications at times when we reach a certain age from insurance companies, so that if something happens, the insurance company knows who to contact. So I think it'd be an easy fix just to, because I think what you're asking is, can we put together a program where seniors can have someone who's been designated to get their information to assist and help them? And it can be something maybe formal or informal. If it's more formal, we can set up power of attorney. And that gives, like I'd have you be my attorney. It's a document that you've got to sign and fill out, but that's another legal piece. So I think there's a whole possible spectrum of things that can be done. But maybe we need to do more effort around trying to inform seniors of this and then allowing seniors to take the next step to try to have a companion or have a power of attorney or something to that degree to assist and support them. I don't think we need more legislation.
Okay.
I think it's just a matter of putting something together.
When you're having a hard time, you just want to go to the top. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I think Tiara mentioned we have someone else online.
Yes, Carol.
Carol, are you online?
Any other questions for the supervisor? I know that, the AAA director had a special request for you.
Okay.
We want to get a picture for our newsletter so that.
Oh, great.
We get one with.
Oh, great. We want it.
And with, Kim, Amar, can we take this with the single? And I'll, right here, we can take it right here,
Right here?
actually, yes. Thank you then.
Make sure you get my good side. Yeah, my phone's a mess.
About 3 good ones.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Miley. Thank you so much, Supervisor Miley. Thank you. Well, we're off to a good Supervisor Miley, got us off to a great start with our discussion. We have some, I'm very pleased right now to introduce to you the Director of the Area Agency on Aging, Jennifer Stevens-Pierre. And she is going to facilitate our discussion today so we can get more of your thoughts and input, both here in person and online. And I'm very pleased to see we have a multi-generational audience today. Okay.
Hi, as Kim mentioned, my name is Jennifer Stevens-Pierre, and I am the director for the Alameda County Area Agency on Aging. And Kim, I am going to stay on script, but I do want to take an opportunity to recognize the staff that have made this possible. There is a lot of coordination that go into hosting something like this. Also to again thank Supervisor Mallett for taking time out of your schedule and his staff to participate in this event. This is really important for us. But if all of the staff can just stand, the adult and aging staff and also the SSA staff that support this.
And
if you can stand for a minute just so that you can see the manpower that goes into it. And they do a really great job at coordinating and they make it look very easy, but it is a lot of work. So thank you for all of the work that you do and for getting us to this point.
Some of those folks sitting outside at the tables are big too.
So I want to start off with just kind of talking a little bit about why we're here. And I am going off script a little bit because I just want to, before I go into the questions, I just want to tie the questions into the purpose. Okay, so the Area Agency on Aging, every single county has one. Every single county has in California, no, every single county in the nation has an area agency on aging. But most time we're invisible. How you know us is by our services. So at a show of hands, how many of you either have or know someone that has Meals on Wheels? Okay. How many of you either have participated or know someone that has participated in a senior center? Okay, how many of you know people who require transportation to get to doctor's appointments? Okay, so, and Supervisor Miley mentioned the fall prevention program, the SIP program. We're one of the core partners of the fall prevention program. So we use dollars that you voted on with Measure A to implement the fall prevention program in Alameda County. So I will say in Alameda County, the AAA in itself is invisible. Our face is our programs. So things like Meals on Wheels, things like Spectrum, things like Life Elder Care, programs like Life Elder Care, our various senior centers throughout the community. Just to name a few, we are collaborators. We work a lot. We don't always have to be the face. We work a lot with some of our community partners to get things done. So I just want to connect that dot a little bit. Last year, the Area Agency on Aging had about a $20+ million budget. About 80% of our budget goes into senior nutrition programs. About 80%. And just to kind of talk about the federal level, because I heard you when you talked about advocacy, when you say writing legislation, we have our board of supervisor here, is that, you know, we are funded by the Older Americans Act. And the Older Americans Act, of course, California, we have an Older Americans Act and we have an Older Californians Act. And so we've had an opportunity very recently to make comments and to make changes in both of those acts that have existed since like 1965. But when you look at the language, they still talk about phones on the wall where you can do rotary dialing. So we know that it's time for us to update those documents. And so we've had an opportunity to work with some of our leadership at the federal, state, and city, and at the local level on revising that document. So why are we here today? Part of the responsibility that we have in accepting the Older American Act dollars is that we're required to put out a document called the Countywide Area Plan. And we're required to put that out every 4 years. And that is our way of telling the county and the state and the federal government on how we're going to use those funds in the community. And for us, what we really try to do is work with our community partners to make it a viable plan, not just a document that we're required to write because we check the box, but a viable plan that actually address some of the issues, like your mom needs assistance with medication. You know, one of the programs that the AAA fund is family caregiver support programs, right? And so those family caregiver support programs are programs that assist family members who are caring for their loved ones with issues such as that. You know, and so that's just kind of like to give a broad overview of what the area agency is responsible for. Before I get started, I also would like to recognize that in order for us to do this, we're also required what we call an advisory commission. And so we have one of our advisory commissioners here. And so thank you for attending. And so our advisory commission on aging are responsible for advising the AAA of older adult issues and then coming up with ways to address those things. So really appreciate you being here today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Just a little bit off. So as you know, when we talk about older adults, you hear some of the issues that Supervisor Malley mentioned, cost of living, safety, nutrition. And sometimes we don't really know about what to do with those services until, like for you, you're faced with having to do advocacy. I'm going to give you a personal story before I say the very first question. I'm 51 years old. I live in Alameda County. I am the director for the Area Agency on Aging. Before my husband passed away, I became his caregiver, and I was his caregiver for 10 years. And for the last 3 years, it required me to be his full-time caregiver. And I will tell you, as a person who has worked in all of the programs that sit in Division of Aging and Adult Protection, that I had a difficult time navigating the care for him. And not that I couldn't do it, but I felt like I shouldn't have to do it because I was his wife. You know, I just wanted to be the wife. I didn't want to be the coordinator, the social worker. I just wanted to be his wife. So one of the things that that happened, we produced a resource guide that basically breaks down all of the services in Alameda County. And Daniela Piguet is the one who puts that together for us. When one day he was in the hospital, he was being discharged, and they said, well, we're going to give you some resources that you can access. And they handed me the guide. I didn't even say anything. I didn't tell them that I was the AAA director, but because I was in that situation right then, you know, it was like, where do I start? And that's one of the things that we want to address in this room, not only the bigger issues, but some of those specific issues, like some that you've already brought out. How do we get the community out here to talk about these things that directly impact you? Like in the TikTok, it says, don't make a decision about us, without us, right? And so we need to know how do we get this information out? So we drafted 4 questions. Our government and community relations department, they're very great at this, very, very great. So they've helped us draft 4 questions that should assist us where we're feeling, what we're thinking, we're hoping that it will help us with getting some responses from you that we will use to write out this lovely county-wide area plan. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Okay, so let's see. So we're gonna start with the very, very first question. Let me make sure that I'm on script because my staff has really written this out and they're doing a great job. Okay, so the first thing we'd like to talk about is our community today. Who can name one thing you like about where you live and feel age-friendly right now, and where you live and feel is an age-friendly right now? In about 2 sentences. So do we have a volunteer? Let me repeat the question. What makes Alameda County age-friendly right now? And age-friendly means that all the things that you've talked about here, the ability to move around, the ability to be safe, the ability to have answers to your questions, the ability to have affordable housing, the ability to be able to address cost of living, to not be homeless. What makes Alameda County friendly now? Are there any things that are working really well? I hear some.
Oh, where's the mic?
Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, she said social services.
Okay, well, that's good for us to know. We're housed in social services, so that's really great for us to know. Do you want to be, what about social services you think is working really, really well?
I like all of it.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely should.
Work well. Can work.
It can work well. Okay.
She's a retired Alameda County employee.
Okay. Nice. So, nice. Okay.
So that's what she said.
Anyone online who wants to answer that? What do you think what is working really, really well right now with services? Anything that you think is helping you age successfully in place? Anyone else?
Do you mean like countywide agencies or just everyday things?
Anything, everyday things, countywide agency, because really they're all connected, right? We don't sometimes see like how they connect, but anything that you think as an older adult aging in place, what's working really well right now?
So okay if I use you as an example? So Patricia has issues walking. So she is able to arrange with whoever picks up her trash in San Leandro, who they'll come take it out of her yard, whether it's in the yard or just, right next to her gate. She doesn't have to drag that thing down and pull it back. The garbage company will come pick it up. You just have to know to contact them for that.
So assistance with, I would say, daily living is what that is. Like, if you live in a home, you have to get that trash can out every day. And if you don't, then it's a mess. So assistance with the daily living. And can you also, we already got social services. So we have 2. Anyone else who's aging in place in Alameda County, is there anything that is working really, really well for you? That's a great example, because sometimes what we do is we look at the big things and we don't look at those everyday things. And those are the things that we need to know about.
I just want to kind of make sure what they're saying with garbage cans, because daily living in a sense could be from A to Z. I think that should be refined to garbage cans. Because like she said, if you got one of them garbage people don't want to, it's not going where it's designated to be at, they ain't picking it up. And then it's gonna be there for another 2 weeks, gonna have a smell, and people start going in and cats gonna. So I would like to refine that to saying not so much daily living. I would actually say what it is, taking out garbage containers.
Okay. Do
you
you
know,
mind if we add at the end of it, Public Works, and I'm gonna tell you how?
there you go, there you go.
Public Works. Sometimes the Area Agency on Aging, we have opportunities to work with our agency partners. We have opportunity to work with different programs that specifically, not necessarily specifically serve older adults, but sometimes we have the floor to talk with people like Public Works. To say, we think that these are the things that older adults need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So being able to know that helps us with going into the room, knowing what to raise and what to ask for. Okay? All right?
May I make one comment? I don't know whether this is germane for the context we're talking, but the Alameda County Sheriff's Department does an amazing job. And they're very patient and very accommodating to seniors. And I've only had a couple of experiences, but I've always been really, really impressed. Since the sheriff changed, I have not needed any. So I'm speaking mainly from when Greg Ayer was sheriff, but I don't imagine that the agency has changed that much as far as doing an excellent job of taking care of everybody in the county that I've encountered.
That's a great comment. So sheriff and safety. And safety is one of the things that have continuously come up in these public forums, where it is really great to hear you. I think I heard you say that you live in Castro Valley. You know, that in Castro Valley, that is a comment that you can say, and that's a really great comment. We've been in other public forums where people say not so much, right? In Berkeley, we had comments where people said not so much. So that's a really great comment for us to know. Can you put this, okay, perfect. Put public safety. Public safety. Okay, so those are really great points. Do we have anyone online that want to make a comment? Okay. All right. So 3 themes, which really, because sometimes we get like 10 and I have to narrow down what the themes are. So the 3 things from this question is that really having a place like social services where you can go and kind of get your needs met. Social services does a lot, right? We make sure that people who are marginally housed, people who are marginally employed, who don't have income, we really help with economic relief in those situations. So doing really, really well. Being able to, and I'll summarize this because we all agree, being able to know that when we have opportunities to work with other agencies and other programs in the county, that we're knowing about those things that impact older adults. So like, for example, the Public Works in something as what we think is simple, but really is a benefit to you, pulling the trash can out on trash days so that your garbage can get collected. That's pretty significant. And then the other is safety. That we think that safety is going really, really well. So those are the things that we'll pull from that particular question. Okay. All right. So am I supposed to stop for the raffle now? Raffle
break. Raffle break. We have a couple of, we have some goodies for you, for non-county employees. And you do have to be over 18 to win, but you don't have to be over 18 to help me. And I need someone to help me. Oh, that's nice. You put your hands and take one ticket out. And can you read the number that's on it? It's too small for it. On the other side. So what is this going? Thank you. 279-681. 681. All right.
That's how you do it. That's how you do that. That's how you do that. All right.
So we have a little prize for you.
All right. So before we move on, I just want to recap what the themes were for our first question, which was what's going really, really well as far as services. And so is there anyone else that wanted to add to that before we move on? What's your, Linda?
Linda, yeah, just get the,
We have to draw,
you're feeling better.
Okay.
Maybe, obviously it's working better in some areas than others.
Mhm.
So, well, I feel reasonably safe in my environment. I'm not sure I feel reasonably safe if I live, say, in Oakland.
Mhm.
I don't know if the seniors in Oakland feel safe.
Kim?
That's just some, so an observation.
And that's a great observation because we've held, this is our last public forum. We've been in, all over the county, Marquez, Supervisor Marquez, Supervisor Harbert, and it has been consistent feedback where we understand that in certain pockets of the county, that could be a different situation. Okay, we're gonna have to redo the raffle.
Commissioner Grant has graciously conceded since he is on the commission. But his daughter, I'm sure, will be happy to take another ticket out. What are we doing real loud just now? Okay.
Oh, that's me.
Ready to give yours up. I'm not with the count. All right. Both in Alameda County, but yeah, okay. All right. So now that we have that feedback of what's working really, really well, one of the things I want to do is take a look, let's travel, let's do a little traveling. So I am from the South. I'm pretty sure you can hear my accent. It is something that I'm very proud of, that the fact that I'm from the South and I have an accent, but I also know that I talk really fast, right? That's one of the other things. And not only do I talk fast, but you know, in the South, we make up names for people. It's like, well, your name is John, but we say like your name is Tim now. For whatever reason, we do that. But either way, I want to slow it down a little bit. And I want to do an exercise, let's see, where we look into the future. And we think about some of the responses that we've had. And what I want to know from you, and I'll give more instruction. This is the question. Wait a minute, let me make sure that I got the right question. Okay, hold on. What would a more age-friendly county look like? And so I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to kind of think of it. So what I would like to ask is if you can close your eyes, don't fall asleep, do not fall asleep, and look forward to 2029, 5 years from now. Because when we publish this countywide area plan, we're gonna go to Supervisor Miley as the board of the president and all of our other supervisors, and we're gonna say, hey, we've done all of these surveys, we've done an exhaustive effort with focus groups and public forums, and this is what they're saying, and this is how we're planning to address it, right? And this plan will be our 2024-2028 plan. And so by the time we get past this 5 years, let's see what happens. So take a few minutes, close your eyes. Think about, the question is again, what would a more age-friendly county look like? And I'm just gonna give some narratives while you're talking. You know, common themes that we've heard is safety. You know, we live in the Bay Area. Common things that we talk about is cost of living. We live in the Bay Area. You know, do you have $1 million to buy a house if you sold your house or you lost your house? You know, we have a lot of displaced older adults in Alameda County. We have a lot of services. The question is, are we addressing the need? Do we have enough meal programs? Do we have enough senior centers? Have we created a place where you can walk down the sidewalk and do what Supervisor Mallon talked about, being able to do things and have places to go. Are we, can we think about what we will need in the next 5 years to make this better? So I'll stop talking for 30 seconds and then I'm open the floor again.
Can I speak now?
Just a minute.
Okay.
What is happening as you're thinking about this, what is happening? How are you involved in it? What is different from 2024? How does it help you and the people you care about more fully? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's change the world. Let's change the world. We're in 2024. Let me give you a short story, really short story. Supervisor Chan is part of the story. So when we wrote.
You need to be on the mic so that people can hear you online. You can take it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we wrote the
2020.
Thank you. When we wrote the 2020-2024 plan, we went to the board and asked for approval of that plan in 2019. What was happening in 2019?
It's 2020. It was 2020.
What was happening?
COVID.
COVID. On the day that I was scheduled to go in front of the board was the day that the public health officer announced the closure of the county. Oh, yeah. And so every department head, you remember that meeting, was at that meeting. Every department head for every agency in this county was at that meeting. And they gave their reports on how the impact. Well, we had already written the plan. It was already written. So we started a plan without having COVID in it. Do we continue this plan without talking about what we learned from COVID? No, we do not. Supervisor Chan, I had this 20-page presentation to talk about the Countywide Area Plan. And she, after listening to the public health officer for like, was it 3 hours, 4 hours, all day? She said, I want you to start from PowerPoint number 18. And but was really able to talk about what the plan was. But I always, when I talk about this, a lot can change is what my point is. A lot can change in that time period. So with that said, you guys have had a chance to look forward to the future. How do you see these services in the next 4 to 5 years? Again, what is happening? How are you involved in it? What is the different? What is different from 2024? And we're only 11 days into 2024. 12 days. How does it help you and the people you care about more fully? Who wants the floor? We got someone online, you said, right?
Yeah, a few comments.
Okay. You want to start with the comments online? We'll give the,
we have a.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Is the last word you said something like food, F-O-O-D?
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. That was gonna be my comment for years coming up. The food has got tremendously tripled. And I understand this COVID thing, like you're saying, and they're trying to recoup. Could someone like on a Tuesday or Wednesday have discount day? You know, one day out of a week, or maybe 2 times out of a month. I went to the store today and just couldn't believe $30-something and $20-something, $2.99 at all. So in order for us to eat, to sustain ourselves, it'd be nice if some kind of way we could do that. I don't know, I know some stores do have Walgreens, I think, first Wednesday or Tuesday of the month, they have a discount. But it's really funny how you said food, and I love Wilma Chan. And so I just was just blown away. And when you said food, I said, that's what I wanted to talk about. So is there any kind of way we could get some discount? Is that one day out of a month or something?
I'm
Thank you.
gonna put a title to that for describers. It is food insecurity. And how do we address it? So one of the things that we could do is advocate for discount days, work with some of our businesses that operate in Alameda County to say, hey, this is something that our older adults would really benefit from. Right? And then food insecurities also is a item for us to talk about. What are some of the other ways that we can help with addressing that issue? Because the food cost has gone up. And we're seeing that, you know, I mentioned that we fund our nutrition programs. We're having to put out less meals in order for us to be able to properly reimburse them for the meals. And so it's a difference. If you have $8 a meal, you can put out more meals versus $12 a meal. But we don't want our providers working for free, right? So we know that that is an issue. Anyone else want to make a comment about that?
I think Giara
I
said
see
there's some
the
comments
text.
online, yeah.
Okay.
So the first comment comes from Mary G. She says that the Alameda Fire Department, especially in Castro Valley, are great for helping fallen seniors that need to be picked up. Personally, she's called them 3 times at her home, very professional and strong and kind. She gets kudos. And then also has another comment.
Fall prevention, I'm just giving, when you're doing, I'm just giving out categories. So fall prevention, SIP.
Then transportation, especially in the Healy, Castro Valley, added bus stops for the Flex Bus.
Okay, transportation and access.
Then Cheryl also writes, transportation needs to be addressed. AAA needs more of a presence at senior centers to engage seniors.
And that is a direct comment at me, and that is, and you know, that is actually a really great comment. We fund the majority of the senior centers in the community, and one of the things that it sounds like is that we need to do a better job at not only putting money at it, but also going in talking about resources. And so, dear Pierre is one of the people who go out and do a lot of our outreach. Janine Carlson is our senior information and assistance social worker. And so that's great feedback for us to know. Okay? Okay.
Okay, and then we have one from Carol. Older adults are able to access transportation to visit/see a variety of activities of interest easily. Cafe, museum, senior center, theater, performances, etc. Health services are simplified and easy/clear to use. Prescriptions are affordable.
Okay.
So that's a 2020.
Yeah. I hear multiple things in that, but the big thing that I hear, transportation is coming out really big, but I also hear social engagement. Yeah. Social engagement. You know, it is one thing to have, the ability to move around, but if you don't have anywhere to go, that is a big issue. And so, we have in the past done things around promoting things that some of the museums are doing. Our libraries is a source that we have not tapped into enough. Our libraries offer a variety of events that older adults can take advantage of. And so that's one of the things that we know that we could do a better job with. Okay?
Sometimes when you go to the library, like I oftentimes will go to the library and even just stopping up here,
Sometimes when you go to the libraries, even sometimes just stopping up here to see, what's the latest book out or whatever. You have a lot of kids running around. Old people don't like that, and I'm one to lose patience on that myself. So, it's not library. You think that the library could be a peaceful place to go, but it's just too much going on in the library for us to go to the library.
So if we have an opportunity to engage in library, then the ask should be having days where that's targeted to older adults, where you're targeting programs for older adults so that is the majority of the population. Right? And so those, there is no comment here for the people who are participating in the room and for our participants online. There is no comment that is too small, because I'm gonna tell you sometimes what I'm faced with as the AAA director. Sometimes I get this really big packet of a funding opportunity that comes across my desk. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, like, do we even have this issue? Sometimes they're very specific. Sometimes it is, do you want to apply for a grant to enhance your relationships with libraries? And I may say, well, not really, but so what does that mean? And so hearing these comments from me, it really helps me with when I get these opportunities, and I have an opportunity to direct funding towards a specific ask, that I have that information. So just keep that in mind as you're giving me this feedback about how we're gonna look in 5 years. Okay? All right, anyone else? Linda?
On the library and other things, I don't know.
You'd like to wait for the mic so people online can hear you.
I don't know if people here know, but the library does offer something, I forget what it's called, something and go. And if you have a library card, you can sign up to get free admission to a lot of museums and activities. We've used it several times. Another thing about the library that I was thinking is, if you don't really want to go to the library or you can't get to the library, some way for seniors to have library books delivered to them like a bookmobile, but specifically geared to a book that I have requested. So you can request the books online and then and I can go into my library and pick it up. But if I was housebound or for whatever reason, it'd be nice to have designated day of the week or the month to bring these books out to the seniors who can't get out for themselves.
That's great feedback. Great feedback. Okay?
Or get mine when I'm mine.
Okay, let's take some of the online.
I'm gonna go ahead and allow Spectrum to go ahead and unmute themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carol Mahar, and I work at Spectrum Community Services. For those of you who aren't familiar with Spectrum, we're an Alameda County-wide nonprofit organization. We partner with the county and we provide senior services. Some of the senior services we provide are Meals on Wheels. We also do senior meals, which are for seniors who are still active enough to get out to the senior centers or the churches, where we have healthy, nutritious meals every day, as well as an opportunity to socialize. We do fall prevention exercise classes, and we also have a new program called Connect, which is telephone reassurance and friendly visits. So if you haven't heard of us, please go to our website, spectrumcs.org. I just wanted to make a comment about, we were talking a little bit earlier about healthy meals, and we were talking about, if meals cost $8, we can feed more seniors, and that's absolutely true. What we've experienced as an organization who's focused on food insecurity is that the cost of raw food has skyrocketed, and so has the cost of gas. And so, after pandemic, right, our numbers rose during pandemic and they never went back down. So we're serving more senior clients than ever. And then the inflation of those gas and raw food costs, a lot of times we hear from seniors that they eat fast food or they'll eat a can of chili because of cost, right? We don't want to serve subpar food. We want to serve things that are nutritionally balanced. And so, yeah, it definitely costs more to put out a quality product, but it's really important. Food is medicine, and especially for seniors. It's a way to combat a lot of other health problems like diabetes and high cholesterol, et cetera, et cetera. So we're so happy to be here today. And especially, just wanted to give a shout out to Supervisor Miley. He really walks the walk. He has been so supportive of seniors in Alameda County, not just in District 4. He realizes that seniors sometimes live in one area, but take services in other areas, and really sees the county as a whole. And he's just been a great supporter of us for many, many years. And so we're really excited to be here today. Thanks, everyone.
Excited to have you. And it was really interesting, and thank you for that comment, because I think you did one of the things that I talked about earlier, and that is to connect the dots. Connect the dots. And I mentioned that AAA, we're invisible, that our face is our programs. All of those programs that she named, we fund as the area agency on aging. So great opportunity for us to be able to connect the dot, and Spectrum does a really great job at doing that, and they serve a lot of older adults in their service area. Okay, any other? Janine?
Yeah, the one also thing.
Microphones.
Hi, I'm Janine. I'm one of the invisible people. I'm the one that I do that. I answer the senior information line, so people call me and sometimes I have answers and sometimes I don't. And sometimes we do we put our heads together and come up with good ideas and suggestions. And sometimes the community has given me some good ideas and suggestions that I can share with others. The one thing I've heard along the way, though, learned along the way, is that programs like Meals on Wheels and friendly volunteers, and if you, maybe not for yourself, but for a neighbor, for a parent, for a loved one, whatever. If you can connect them with those resources, they're kind of the extension, the eyes and the ears for the person that either doesn't realize they're kind of going downhill, doesn't want to admit it, scared to death they're going to be displaced. And they kind of, if they see something going on, they can try to connect with people like me to get them connected with services. So it's not just, I get a meal 5 days a week. I get a volunteer. I mean, I connected a friend with Meals on Wheels. They love her. And they go out, they talk, they visit. If she sees something wrong, she will help that person to stay safe. And so don't just think of it as a one only program. It's really a multifaceted things that are being done.
Thank you, Janine, for that comment. And that is some very, very great feedback. I'm gonna try to move us along a little bit more. Do we have another one online?
Yes.
Okay.
Another one online.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to allow her to unmute herself and go ahead and talk. Lillian, it's your turn.
Regarding healthcare, by the way, hi, you're doing a great job. Great, I'm glad you're there. But regarding healthcare, I don't want to lose some of the points that were made earlier, that loneliness and social isolation are issues with older adults. And I'm sure there are some things going on today, but I want to make sure, as you said, to project the future, that we do pay attention to evidence-based behavioral health services that are needed for older adults.
Great comment. And for all of you, evidence-based is a constant terminology that I have to consider when we're looking at service provisions. And so when we do our fall prevention programs and our exercises, things like bingo size, things like Tai Chi, those are evidence-based programs. We're going to start what we call a nutrition education component to the AAA, and we will be pulling a curriculum that's evidence-based. And so basically what that means is that someone has done research and they said that if you do this, the people who participate in it, they'll benefit from it. And if the goal is for, and they'll benefit from the actual activity, and then it will also be a lot of side benefits, like things like decreasing falls and, and addressing medication management and those kind of things. All those things that help you age successfully in place. So thank you for that comment, Linda. We do. We may have to pick one more.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the one from Andrea Mock. I'm concerned about the availability of home health care workers to seniors living in their own homes. There are not enough qualified workers. These workers need to be paid a living wage, including family members who are stepping in into this care.
So one of the things that we fund is family caregiving services, and that is a very common feedback that we received about that. How does the AAA address that? Is we look at the funding that we have for family caregiver support, and we try to target what we think the issues are. In COVID, our caregivers were the ones who were on the front line, right? Especially our family caregivers, because the older adult was isolated, but the person that was also caring for them was isolated. So coming out of COVID, one of the things that we did is we targeted funding on respite, because respite allowed the caregiver to get a break, right? And then caregiver supports, things like counseling, because a lot of our caregivers came out exhausted. And so those are some of the things we target. So that's a really great comment. I do like to meet with my family caregiver providers so that I know that when given an opportunity, you know, sometimes I have flexibility in how we put money out and who do we target. I like to speak with my family caregiver providers to make sure that we're targeting what the need is. Not just a general bucket, but the specific needs in Alameda County. So that is a great comment. But I'm looking at the time, and we want to be respectful of your time, and it's 4:25, and I think we're supposed to go to what time?
4:30-ish.
Okay, 4:30-ish. So I'm gonna move forward with the next question, and we're gonna capture, for all the people who are online, we're gonna capture your comments, so please take a few minutes. If you had your hand raised and I don't get to you, if you can put your comment in our, what is that? Chat, thank you. If you can put your comment in the chat, we'll make sure that we make a document what your opinion is. Okay, so we're gonna move ahead. So I think at this point, I'm supposed to stop. And while we're gonna do a raffle, but while we're doing that, you can get someone to draw. While we're doing that, I'm gonna pick the 3 things that came out of this particular section. So it sounds like overarching the issues, because I get the job of taking all of that and saying, okay, what are the big issues?
Yeah.
So one of the big issues that came out of that is accessibility, food, transportation, social engagement. Also, another big one was social isolation. And some of this is tied, social isolation, social engagement, things to do that are evidence-based, things to do so that even if when you go out, you'll feel like you are able to take advantage of like social events, okay? And then the last one I will say, I'm gonna throw out AAA needs to have more of a presence in senior centers, and so we're definitely gonna be working on that.
Jennifer, we just gotta have I gotta
Okay.
interrupt you for 1 second.
Okay.
So this time I want people to hear you read. So Eva is gonna read us the latest raffle number.
Okay.
And I know some tickets were distributed, but please be aware that gift cards could go to non-county employees or.
Okay.
Was it on? Let's make sure it's on. There we go. There. Okay.
279-674. 279-674. Who's the lucky winner? All right, Miss Linda, yay. All right, and then the other big bucket is family caregiving. Okay, all right, so we're gonna move on with the last question, last but not least, just like this forum, our last one, but not the least. Okay, I think I turned it off. Oh, I turned it off. Ooh. Hello? Is it because you can hear button?
We hear you.
You hear me? Okay.
Okay.
All right, because I talk loud anyway. So the last question. Okay. What is the best, let me see. Oh, well, I guess, what are the most, and this is actually not the last question. We do have one more, but we're gonna speed round that one. Question number 3, what are the most important lessons of the past 4 years? What are the most important lessons of the last 4 years? When we first start planning this, one of the things that I said is we're gonna definitely look in the lens of lessons learned. We want to make sure that what we learned in COVID is captured in this countywide area plan. But I want to hear from you because I think I have an idea, but sometimes I'm wrong.
One thing I'm learning in being out there in travel training is that we need more disaster preparedness for our seniors. And I learned that from, not having food for 20 days at my home. Because you couldn't go out and buy it. So, but we were okay because I bought a big freeze and now I'm ready for the next go round. But there was so much going on during that time. You had the fires, you had COVID, you had people dying. I mean, it's just so much, and right now, there is nobody out there speaking on disaster preparedness for this community. I haven't heard anything. So maybe that could be something, a focus that you guys can really seriously think about for the next 4 years, especially for seniors, and to have a good escape plan.
I 100% agree. Very, very great comment. And it was one of the top things that we thought about. I'm going to get Janine and then I'm going to get you.
I think in addition to that is have your contacts and your situation ready, because when they told you you're locked at your home, stores weren't opening, and if you didn't have supplies of anything, you didn't have your friends or your neighbors or anybody that you could kind of, turn to either via phone or email or whatever, you could really be alone. And so to kind of have in your mind, this is what I need to survive for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, not necessarily as a natural disaster, but because it can be a very, an apartment or a home can be a very lonely place if you don't have anything or anybody.
Very, very true. Commissioner Grant.
One of the big things we found was that isolation was like a silent killer. And the intergenerational living definitely increased life expectancy and quality of life.
Any comments online?
Yes, we have a few. We have two from Spectrum. I think everyone can hear me. So it says here, we have all got a taste of we all got a taste of social isolation during shelter in place. This is a big issue that we didn't give as much attention into in the past. We have learned as an organization that technology and virtual socialization opportunities can make a huge impact for those experiencing loneliness.
Any other comments? So I'm just going to briefly say this. We realized that social isolation, can you hear me? Because I feel like I'm not in. Yeah. Social isolation was one of the major things that came out in COVID. And not only that, but one of the biggest things that happened is all of the services switched from in-person to virtual. And older adults did not know how to access services. So one of the things that we had to do as a AAA, or we were tasked to do, is to bridge that digital divide gap to bring older adults up to speed. So things like, the first thing we tried was Google speakers, but we quickly realized is that, you can ask a Google speaker to do whatever you want it to do, but if you don't have internet connection, it's not gonna do anything, right? So the second thing that we did is we gave out over 300 iPads with Wi-Fi subscriptions. But then we quickly learned that means nothing if you don't know how to turn it on and you don't know how to get you don't know how to get on the internet. So then we had to back up and say, okay, I think we need to do training. So we put out training, right? And so now we're still working on ways to address that, but it was one of the biggest things that came out with social isolation. And then it was compounded by the fact that everything switched to a digital platform. Intergenerational, what we call intergenerational activities, we had an opportunity to fund some intergenerational activities because we realized that, we can learn from each other, right? And so that was one of the things that we found, that it not only is helpful for the older adult, but it also is very, very helpful for the younger generation as well. And so that was one of the things, another thing that we were able to do, but disaster preparedness is the biggest one. You know, we realized that there were a lot of things that I could have done differently. We realized that there's a lot of things that we can do differently. I just opted in for the Alameda County Area Agency on Aging to participate in a statewide project on raising awareness about disaster preparedness and emergency preparedness. And so hopefully you'll see some of that, more to come on that. And so I think we're gonna move on to question number 4. Yes, oh.
Could I just say something? You guys can hear me. Also, you know, a lot of those senior housing, some of them was done years ago. So they pay for not equipped for their Wi-Fi, like my mother's.
Yes.
Okay, so they had to find a way to either go to the internet and pay $37 over their budget. You know, so is there a way like you guys would know all the senior housing, which would have Wi-Fi and who doesn't, and then find a way?
What's your name? Melody? Melody, I am so glad that you said that, because when we were looking at opportunities to to bridge the gap with the digital divide, the very first thing that we did was we reached out to senior housing buildings. And we quickly realized that they did not have connectivity. And so one of the things that we are now doing is we're trying to, Ms. Soriano, who, you know, she is one of our supervising program specialists. She is our supervising program specialist, is to figure out ways to address that by putting hotspots in senior housing facilities. Not that it's going to wire the whole building, but that you have access by going to your community room and taking advantage of that. So we're getting a little pushback from that one. So your feedback is going to be my power. You just gave me the power. That's done. It's over. It's happening. Okay. All right. All right. So then we're going to move on to our last question. And Ms. Linda, I'm going to bring you up so that you can just help me co-facilitate this question, because you came out the gate saying this. You said the 4th question is, what is the best way for you and your family to find out about services and information? We think we do a good job on that. We do things like the patch. In the last, Kim Foco is the senior planner. She's the one who made all of this come together. She makes it look very easy. And I will tell you that I have gotten a lot of phone calls in the last couple of weeks about the patch. We published in every local newspaper. We did a commercial. We were all of our board of supervisors. We have done an exhaustive effort, and it still feels like we did not get the word out. And one of the things, we don't want to make this decision in the back. We think we know what is needed, you know? So if you can just give us some, you learned about it in the patch, you know, and you said that if other people knew about it, they would come. So if you could just talk about that a little bit.
Or if you held it, can you hear me? In communities, like, I mean, we came from Castro Valley, so it's kind of a trek for maybe other seniors. And they're coming into Oakland. Maybe they don't know Oakland. So if you could host it in a more central location, even like San Leandro. Now, I had never heard of Spectrum until maybe 3 weeks ago. And I was looking through the San Leandro recreation thing, as I want to sign up for a class, and I saw this and I thought, this fall prevention would be perfect for my friend. She lives in Hayward. She doesn't, I don't know that she's familiar with Spectrum. She had never heard of the class.
Okay.
She signed up for that class. And she also somehow got into the bingo. I don't know how that bingo.
I like that.
She said, well, it's kind of weird, but I went with it. But that's at the San Leandro Senior Center, right? So I think that's centrally located. But maybe like put signs in the senior centers. Are you affiliated with Castro Valley Senior Center?
We are.
Okay.
We are.
I've never seen a sign there.
Okay.
Nothing. Because old people, I like things on a sign.
That's good to know.
Right? If it's there and they're going to these facilities for lunch or for bingo size or a yoga class, and there's a giant sign that draws their attention, And it's, yeah, it doesn't have too much information because you want it to grab them. That would be one way to reach out, because we still look for old paper, old school paper. Yeah, patch is great if you're used to getting it into your email.
Right, okay.
If you're not, it's useless.
Something else I might say to that is, contact all the churches. Contact all the churches in the area, because almost every church I'm familiar with has a senior component. And this has not, your agency has never crossed my path in my church. My church has got a number of seniors in it. My church is active for seniors as far as having stuff for them to do with, including them. But it had, I've never heard of your agency before now. So contact all the churches and tell them, hey, we're here. Let us access your senior citizens.
Very, very, very good feedback. Listen, if you can give us one quote, we're getting ready to take all of this, you see describers, we have 5 forums that we've done around the county. We're gonna take all of this paper and we're gonna summarize it. We're gonna take all of this and we're gonna summarize it. We put out surveys and we have received thousands of surveys and we're gonna condense that information. We've done focus groups and we're gonna take all of that information for a focus group and we're gonna put it into Kim Vogel is going to create this wonderful document called the Countywide Area Plan. If you can give us one quote to capture what you said, give us a quote that we can use to talk about communication.
Talk about communication.
How do we communicate to you what's available? If you had a quote. And I can come back to you if you want to think about it.
I would just say the big question is, who are you and what do you do?
There you go. Who are you? And what do we do? And what do you do? And, that is, we have Commissioner Grant here and we had, they advise us. And one of the things that they have done an exhaustive effort in the last couple of years is telling us that we need to raise our visibility and we need to do a better job at telling people what we do. And our first step in doing that is that we're going to release Kim, we're going to release our very first impact report. Now, it's not going to be fancy. It's going to be something that's very, very simple, but it's a really great starting place for us so that we can share that with everyone. And I have a co-facilitator now. Yeah. We can share that with everyone to tell you what we do. How many of you receive the Senior Information and Assistance Update newsletter? We put out a special edition that Supervisor Malley is featured in. And that it is one of the ways that we share information with you. So I strongly encourage, if you're an older adult in this room and you live in Alameda County, please sign up for that Senior Update newsletter because it is one of the tools that we will be using to spread the word about what we do as the Area Agency on Aging. Closing. We need to hear from you. We want to make sure that we do a lot of work to get these services out, to make them available. But the services are only as good as you knowing about them. I'm glad that Spectrum is on the line. Spectrum is one of our providers, and that they're listening to this feedback. And because not only does the AAA does not, and we're referred to as a AAA, we only provide one thing as a direct service, and that's information and assistance. We contract out all the remaining of our services. So it makes us kind of invisible in that our services are done by our face is the names of our providers, right? But it is nice to connect the dots. It is nice that Spectrum can be on the line and they can name all these things that they do. And we can tie it back to say to you, we fund every last one of those programs. Are we the sole funder? No, in a lot of cases, because they live in cities and cities help fund it and, but we fund every last one of those programs that she mentioned. Okay, so let me make sure that did I say everything, Kim?
I just got one more thing
Okay.
to add. I know that,
Let me just think.
the sun.
See, that's.
I know that, you all have more to say, and fortunately, you will get your chance. As you leave, make sure to get your swag bag. Inside it is the survey, the Countywide Area Plan survey, and an envelope to mail it back for free. Or if you prefer, it does have a QR code to take it online. The survey has pretty much wound down, but for our public forum participants, it is still open. That includes those of you online. You can also still participate. It is on our website, the Alameda County Area Agency on Area Agency on Aging Planning website. And if you have any difficulties, please just shoot us an email at CWAP, CWAP@acgov.org, or call 510-268-CWAP. CWAP. If you need assistance, if our participants today need assistance accessing the survey online or in hard copy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
One last thing. So you're gonna get a goodie bag, and in that goodie bag is all that CWAP information. You're also gonna get a resource guide. So depending on where you're coming from, if you're coming from Castro Valley area, you have the Castro Valley resource guide. A resource guide is the resources and agencies, Meals on Wheels, everything in your area that can serve you. So it's depending on where you are, Oakland, Castro Valley, San Leandro, we have separate resource guides. You can have them all or you can have one. It's up to you. But when you go out, as you go out, please make sure we give you the resource guide for whatever area you need.
And please take some of the cookies, brownies, please. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Really appreciate your participation today, and just thank you for coming out. Thank you, everyone online as well. Thank you.